Hey folks, welcome to another episode of 5 to 15 with Musickers. I'm your host, Jason DeCristofaro, and I'm thrilled to be here today with Paula Hennon. Paula, thank you so much for being with us. Paula wears a lot of different hats. You've had an incredible career doing so many different things. You're a professional vocalist, you record and perform, and you do a lot of other things too. But today what I'd like to focus on is your work in public relations with media management, and talk a little bit about your business that you run, The Clever Muse. So, what's your elevator pitch for this business? If we're just sitting next to each other in the elevator and it's like, tell me in 10 seconds what it's about, what would you say?
So basically, I would work with a musician to make them be the best they can be and be known. So getting the word out about your music and sharing it on social media, marketing, merch, all the things that happen to create a business.
Yeah.
And treat music like a business.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's critical for any musician today, especially performing artists, if they want to make a living at it. And you mentioned all those aspects, merch and so forth, but I think the social media is such an integral part of it. Can you tell us a little bit about how you work with artists to develop their social media brand and their social media image?
Yeah, the first thing I do is figure out what social media platform they actually like. So it might be that we have to talk on Facebook, even though we don't love it, but that's where your people are.
Right.
Or it might be, Instagram and clips of your shows, or it might be YouTube and YouTube Shorts, or it might be TikTok, or a little bit of Snapchat, or whatever's coming down the pike. But figuring out what you actually like to work on is number one, because my golden rule is consistency.
Yeah.
So you can't really develop any presence without being consistent. So stopping, starting, gaining momentum, losing momentum, it's kind of a brand killer.
It is, and it's true.
Yeah.
I've heard this too, for people, I have a lot of stuff on YouTube, but they say, make sure you're regularly uploading videos, don't lose that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're not doing too many different types of things, right? What are some pieces of advice, especially for maybe younger artists who are trying to build their image? Because I think a lot of young people especially, they're already connected on social media, right? They already know about social media, but what are some strategies or tips that you would recommend, just in a general sense, for younger artists who are trying to get their music heard?
One of the things I'm going to refute that you said is to not be all over the place. I think it's okay to experiment. I think it's okay as long as you kind of have a plan.
Yeah.
So, maybe part of your music is what you're doing on your own and your songwriting. Another part of your music is what you're doing with groups. Another part of your music is, collabs with other groups. And, you have all the different sorts of pillars.
Yeah.
And each one of those can have its own little plan.
I love that we talked about this earlier, because the term pillar, I think, is such a great concept. Can you share with us the concept of pillars and how it applies to this?
Yeah, basically it's your themes. So what I like to do is contain social media to 3, 4, 5, 6 main themes. That way you kind of know what's in bounds and what's out of bounds, what you want to keep private, what you want to share, but you can also start stacking content. So if one of Jason's main themes is education,
Sure.
and another one is
Mm-hmm.
jazz and collaborations and things like that. There's 3 of your pillars right there.
Right.
You could collect footage, collect music, collect background scenes, of you composing at home or whatever, and have a collection of stuff so you never get behind.
Right.
So you could have stuff that you're doing about music theory, you could have stuff that you're doing about your collabs with different people or different venues, and you can stack content so that you have a month's worth.
Because that is the hard part. I mean, I'll just say from personal experience, is finding the time to just create the content.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not sure what your thoughts on this are, but I've heard, the value of the content is really what comes first.
Well, it's how people get to know you. People want to know you as an artist.
Yeah.
Right? So for Spotify, for instance, if you're making a profile, I think one of the biggest and most missed opportunities in something like Spotify or even your YouTube page is your bio. People want to
Yeah.
feel like they have a little insider secret about you.
Yeah.
They want to know a little bit about what informs the music. They don't want to just know where you played, and what awards you've won or whatever
Sure.
like that, or how many plays you've got. They want to know a little bit about you. What's your dog's name?
Right,
Stuff like
yeah.
that. And the more relationship they build with you, the more they're going to listen to you. So social
Yeah.
media is about building connections, not really about creating content.
Nice. That's a great way to think about it. Yeah. Well, and while we're talking about building connections and building relationships, you work with so many different artists simultaneously. So there's a balancing act there too for you, because you do a great job really honing in on what each artist you represent and help do branding with. You really hone in on what's this thing they do, what's the thing that makes them special. So for you, like in the daily life of Paula Hennon, kind of a behind the scenes thing here, how do you balance all that, just working with so many different artists?
It's ridiculously hard. So for instance, Instagram only lets you have 7 accounts on a phone.
Oh, wow.
So I have like 5 work phones.
Wow.
Because Instagram's phone based, so
Yeah.
you have to go in on the phone to do a lot of the things. So just managing your time is ridiculous. So I try to take the burden off of the individual of trying to stay consistent and do that on a daily basis. And then if I put together a month of content for you based on your pillars, your job is the special events. So I'm playing at this gig. Look at my fans. Look, I love this audience. My fellow musician is so cool. Here's some video. So you would fill in the content that I make. So what I do is I front load. I put together work days, and I'll have like 3 artists this day, 2 artists that day, 4 of my other clients that day, and
Wow.
I stack things, and I
Right.
make systems around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So having a system makes consistency, and being consistent is really important right now. It's the key. Everybody talks about the algorithm or whatever for Facebook and how it likes them or it doesn't like them, and people talk about being shadow banned and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And none of that's really that real.
Yeah.
It's about whether or not they're being consistent and showing up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so while we're talking about thank you for sharing that insight. You mentioned algorithm, and this is a term. This is sort of like the buzzword or the key word of the last few years in social media. What's some insight you have into the algorithm? Because I think a lot of people talk about, getting the algorithm to work and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think they really know what they're talking about necessarily. I think it's this very mysterious sort of nebulous
Nobody
thing.
knows. So people
Yeah.
talk about hacks all the time.
Sure.
Do this, make people, there are some things that are not hacks. The first 3 seconds of your content matters. That's where people are going to stay or click away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are some things that matter.
Yeah.
There are other things that, the number of times you say subscribe in your YouTube video doesn't really matter.
Right.
Where you say it might matter.
Right.
There are some things about it, but really it's more about being consistent on that platform and playing nice. So if
Playing nice. What do you mean by that?
if YouTube says we want you to make more shorts,
I see.
make a lot of shorts.
Right.
Instagram, the big thing right now in stories and reels is you see that button on there that says a remix.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't use that, they're not going to favor you.
Interesting.
They want you to try out all their new stuff.
So for the musicians who create maybe a video of them playing or something, go ahead and any new gadget or feature or app, go ahead and use
try
that.
it. Try it. Give it a week. Give it a month.
Yeah.
Musicians, like, you're really losing out if you're not getting on the chosen music in Instagram, like where you're able to give your audio file for other people to use.
Right.
Like, pick 5 songs, shorten them, go for it. Make an Instagram version, submit it to the library. Like, because if you get a trending audio, that can make or break your career.
That's true. Well, the collaboration aspect too, because I've seen smaller independent artists who may not be that well known. A big name artist picks up their track, and the next thing you know, they're making connections, even outside of social media as a performer and things
Well,
like
sure. The last 5 years have changed a lot.
that. Sure.
So it used to be you built your presence and you had this huge amount of followers that you would try to build up on YouTube or Facebook or whatever media you're on. And now you can go viral with one video. And that's different. That levels the playing field. It gives everybody the opportunity. So if you don't play, you don't have that opportunity.
Right.
So people can hate on social media all they want. They can villainize it. They can say, "Oh my God, I hate it so much," but it's a necessary evil. But really, right now, it's free.
It is.
It's available to everyone around the whole world, depending on how you market your stuff. And attention is the new currency. So, I'm not saying you have to have something go viral. Viral might mean something different to different people. 2,000 people who really, really want to listen to you could be viral, whereas, 1 million on TikTok could be for somebody else. But will those people are you, basically a one-hit wonder, or they're never going to look you up on Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that? You want to hone in and get the people that are really going to be into you.
Loyal and consistent. And also I think there's the monetization aspect, because you could have like one video that's 20 seconds long and gets, a million views, but you may be better off having an 18-minute video that people watch all the way through, and you have like, I don't know the number, but 5,000 or 10,000 people watching it.
I think you have three kinds of listeners. All right, you've got the casual listener. They might hear you on an Instagram. They might hear you in a bar. They might hear you. They might be like, "Oh, cool." And if they see your name again, they might go, "Oh, I could go see them again. I like that one song I heard." Or they hear about you from someone else, or you're on a playlist somewhere and they happen to hear a song. All right, so you've got the casual listener. You've got the moderate listener, who's the person that will seek you out. They'll know, oh, there's this new thing at Ginger's Revenge on Sundays, or whatever, I should go. And they put it on their calendar, maybe they show up a few times. It's a thing, you're part of their music world, but, they're not the diehard fans, because that diehard fan's the number 3. And they're the ones that are gonna be your best advocate, because they're the ones that are bringing their friends, telling everyone about you, like they are your marketing machine, but you need all 3 kinds.
Right, that diversity.
Right? You need the diversity of all 3 types of listeners or participants. And they all have different needs that you need to serve. So when you're making like social media content, you want stuff that's just out there that, is maybe your best soundbite. But you also need that piece that's behind the scenes that gives people a glimpse into who you are, because your diehard fans want that.
Right.
And that brings me to something else. It's this old fashioned, but it's gold. You need a newsletter. Everybody needs an email list, because those are the people that really want to know about you.
It's true. It's benefited me tremendously over the years to have a mailing list. And how has it changed, I guess, because when, I started mailing lists, it was just kind of through email. What are some of the platforms?
Throw a QR code up on you at a show. Put it on the tip jar. Put your Venmo on the tip jar.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth. Share the song, any sort of thing like that. Anything that's going to give people a glimpse into who you actually are, how you compose, why the music matters to you, what you're doing behind the scenes. Little pieces of your life make you feel like not some person who's just out there.
Right.
So anyway, these are the kind of things I do to try to help musicians. Help them build consistency, help them build their pillars. Consistency right now, I keep saying that word, but with artificial intelligence, you need it, because you used to get discovered by a person, right? In the music industry, that doesn't happen anymore. You get discovered by this elusive algorithm that didn't really go there, but it's just the way the computer discriminates this person from that person. Why are you known according to the computer? Right? And what people are looking for in the music industry now, they don't see it until the computer feeds it to them. It's kind of like when you submit a resume and they have these resume readers that you need to load it with all these keywords to even get a foot in the door. It's the same thing in music. And if you're not consistent across the different platforms like Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, wherever you're at, SoundCloud, all the things, if you're really good on one and have no following on another, you're biased against. Like the algorithm of the music industry wants consistency across all platforms. In order to book you in a venue. They want to see that you have a lot of staying power, playing power, attraction power.
Well, now you're on a lot of different platforms too.
Yeah, and it's the same music. You just have to subscribe. So, there's a lot of music distro lists and things like that. Or getting included on a curated playlist by a DJ somewhere is a huge way to like make a breakthrough. And what the first thing they're going to do before they promote you is look at your social media. And they're going to see, do you have loyal followers? Do you have people that are coming back over and over again? Are those people leaving you comments? Is there a back and forth? Is there a community around you? Because building that community is the key.
I think it's a good place. I mean, I wish we had more time to talk. I mean, we could talk about AI. That's a whole hour-long conversation itself. But building community is the key. And I think before we go, especially for younger people who are entering this really radically new music industry, and they might be in school and learning these old, outdated methods, what you've provided here is great because it provides some really very up-to-date insight. While they're studying and working as students with limited time, where should they invest their energy in terms of content creation and being on these platforms if they have limited time?
Putting out what they're working on behind the scenes, establishing their personality, but the biggest piece of advice I'd give to them is collaborate, network, older people, younger people, kids, everybody, because the more known you are, the more community you're going to build.
Beautiful. Paula, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Before we go, where can people find out more about the Clever Muse and this work you do?
My website is theclevermuse.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Yep.
Have a great one, y'all.